Hey, welcome to Mexico. Is this your first time around?
To real Mexico, yeah. Not the tourist peninsula stuff.
You'll get to try for the first time, like real time.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Ryan, we're pleased to have you here in Mexico. We have developed an amazing relationship with MTK because the product line is like awesome. It's like wow. I would like to start talking with you about NIGAR. We have collected some questions from some of our followers, and they're asking about NIGAR specifically. Does it work for Civic liquidarius?
No, it's not going to work on semicolars, the common bed bug. It's, we just don't have any information that shows it works and anybody else's data that they showed. It doesn't work at any of the rates that would normally be applied.
Okay, but we
we
can definitely work with some other road regulators that go directly to how do you say that in English?
The kite. Yeah.
The kite. That will work directly to the kite layer.
Yeah, potentially.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other questions that have popped around are, can I spray foam NIGAR to construction purposes?
Absolutely, yeah. You can mix with NIGAR with any foaming agent, even with other like pre-made foaming products. So yeah, NIGAR foams just fine, and yeah, you can mix it in with either foaming agents or products that are labeled as foam.
Beautiful. How could I correlate NIGAR and
okay, so NIGAR is in one contact application on it. When you want to actually Vescar has NIGAR in it, but it's designed for liquid roaches that say with German cockroaches and American cockroaches, you have high levels of resistance. So we've got NIGAR in there basically as an insurance policy, because sometimes roaches will pick up some of the adulticide, but it may not be enough to kill them, but they'll just have something in there that's going to prevent them from reproducing. So it's basically a 1-2 punch of the adulticide should kill most of them, and if you've got a really bad, highly resistant population, you've got NIGAR in there to prevent that female from spreading her resistant genes.
If I happen to have like resistant population of roaches, wouldn't it be easier to just apply NIGAR and get rid of the resistance in that specific population so that I can carry on and continue to apply like my regular portfolio?
Sure. Now, on that note, I would say if I've got a highly resistant roach population, let's say they're resistant to neonicotinoids, pyrethroids, what I would do personally is, and this is segueing into one of our other products, Fastcap, but I would want a product that has piperonyl butanide or PBO. That's a synergist that, and we've got really good data from University of California Riverside showing if you put PBO in something, even if they're resistant, it'll still kill them very well. And if you incorporate NIGAR on top of that, now you're really doing a nice 1-2 punch of wiping out a resistant population and preventing any of those juveniles that didn't contact the adulticide from becoming adults and such.
There are some studies we're going to run off our scope right now that show that pyrethroids have a molecule inside them, especially those that fall under iris group that may repel the roaches to a certain site. Then I was totally rely upon pyrethroids, NIGAR, and healthcare in order to avoid that
Yeah, so repellency it's a funny thing because when you use pyrethroid specifically, especially if you fog or spray that, when it hits those like roaches, bed bugs, any insects, it has 6 different esters, and some of them they're excitatory. It stimulates the bugs to get up and start running around. But when they dry, and I've got video that I put roaches in my living room on the tank will have that treated. But when pyrethrum is dry, roaches don't know they're there. So there's a difference between when it's actually nebulized in a fog and when you're spraying it versus once it's there and dry, the roaches don't know it's there. So I understand the point about it. If you're using the product and you see them scurrying all over the place, yeah, that a lot of times when you do an initial fogging, you'll see them scattering. But once that material dries, they don't know it's there anymore. So if they're running out in the open, once that material dries and they try to run back in that harbor area, they're not going to know it's there. So I would just say when it's fog or when it's still wet, it can be repellent. But once it's dry, it's not quite, it's not that repellency that they're going to run into and be like, oh, I can't touch that. I got to, hightail it.
Well, you have touched a very important point right now, and we will transition to Pyrocide, which is the oil-based pyrethrum, right? Am I correct there?
That's exactly right.
Okay. When we use an oil-based product like Pyrocide, I have seen some studies that it cuts through the cuticle faster than the water-based product. So would you recommend it not only by hot fogging, but by cold fogging, let's say with an Axisol, paint shot, or the B&G product, to use more often or more heavily Pyrocide versus Riptide?
Yeah, and you bring up a good point here, which is a big difference at least in the area I'm familiar with, in fogging and plants. And in the U.S. and a lot of the places that I dealt with my old company, we rarely use the thermal fogger. And part of that is because when you have a pyrethrum, they're sensitive to heat. And so it doesn't destroy all of it, but you're going to get a slight reduction in the total amount of pyrethrum in thermal fog versus if you do a ULB or a cold fog. Don't have that same reduction in the active ingredient there. They both work, and you're putting out enough material where that's not going to be a problem, especially Pyrocide being dual synergized. You're not going to have a problem knocking bugs down. It's all personal preference at that point, but I will say that the one consideration to make is, yes, oil does help cut through the data because that top layer of the bug is a nice little waxy layer. And so you're helping penetrate that much easier than water would. Just make sure that when you do those applications, you take care that it's not going to create a film of oil on the ground, on the concrete, and make a slip hazard. That's the only thing I would keep in consideration when I'm thinking where can I apply Pyrocide versus something like a water-based product like Riptide.
I think that it would be kind of a proper thing to introduce a statement, a bold statement, that we should not use any additional vehicles with Pyrocide. Pyrocide by itself can do it. Should we go thermal?
You absolutely can, and in general, with Pyrocide, I generally prefer, by the neat applications. If you like your whiskey just by itself, it's the same kind of idea. Like just have it in there. If you absolutely have to dilute it for whatever reason, again, I'm not saying do this by any means, but I know there are companies that they're going to dilute it, and if you do, make sure you do it with a fairly decent quality white mineral oil. That's what you want to dilute that in if you have to. But again, I would use it just by itself, and I wouldn't necessarily cut it with anything unless you have a really good reason for doing that.
Should we need to cut it? Let's always stick or align or adhere to the technical data sheet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise we want to be doing
you don't need
messes all over the place, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so it is now the turn for us to talk about fashion. I love the product because it works like wonders against scorpions, which of course are arachnids. So therefore it works pretty much as well with spiders.
Yes.
what are the key components of Fastcap?
Fastcap, yeah. And Fastcap was the company I worked for before MGK. I didn't know any of MGK's portfolio. All I knew was that we switched from a pretty cheap basic pyrethroid in the winter months. As soon as we got into spring and summer, we switched over to Fastcap. And the big reason is a lot of products you either get a really fast knockdown or you get a residual. And with Fastcap, you're combining both. So now you're getting proletrin, which is a really fast knockdown. It's just suspended in there, and it's what you see in a lot of the wasp sprays. So really quick knockdown, but you also have microcap valerate, which is going to give you that long-term residual for weeks, potentially months, depending on if you're keeping it out of direct sunlight, if you're getting nooks and crannies around a building, it's going to last you quite a while. The other big thing in there, and it's really what separates Fastcap from most products, is PBO. So, like I mentioned earlier, you've got a resistant population, say roaches, that are resistant to pyrethroids. Fastcap will still smoke them because it has that synergist in there that's it knocks down their ability to metabolize the pyrethroid. So, you get that out of the equation, now all of a sudden they're susceptible again.
Here in Mexico, there's a wet powder that's very popular. It belongs to the carbamatos carbonate.
Yes.
Of course, the modes of action are very different. So when we're using pyrethroid, what we get is like if the scorpion or the arachnid would run out of gasoline.
Yeah.
Just to put it in a graphic way.
Yeah.
Whereas we use with carbonate, it'll interrupt on a non-consistent basis, like intermittency will interrupt the sodium channels. Am I correct? Therefore, we can have the hazard or the danger that the scorpion will die, probably waving its sting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, that's actually why in the lab, whenever we're testing products for mortality, with roaches specifically, you poke them even when they're flipped over on their backs, because some products some modes of action like carbonates, they can break off of that of acetylcholinesterase, and so they can recover, and so that's why even after they look dead, you poke them with sticks to make sure that they are in fact dead.
That's what I like the most about the Fastcap, that we can apply it in homes where we have kids, where we have our pets. Therefore, we don't expose them to additional hazards.
Right.
Whereas with carbonates, potentially we can expose them to those kinds of things.
Right. And while I definitely wouldn't recommend, spraying down the couch with Fastcap, it's got a very, very forgiving label, and you can apply it in homes, around furniture. You can do indoor broadcast if you really need to. If you've got a really bad flea problem, you can do food handling areas. The label is really forgiving, and so basically any use case that you can think of, you can probably apply Fastcap.
I would like to award my final item on this small interview. Fastcap against Siemens Licularis.
Oh, and again, with Siemens Licularis, one of the big problems that you run into is resistance to pyrethroids, to neonics, to any of the common liquid residuals that people will go around and spray. And we, my old lab used herbicide. We did a study. It was working with a different one of our products, but they were combining different active ingredients, and they figured out for resistant bed bugs that the clincher was having PBO in there. And again, Fastcap has PBO in it. So if you're looking to wipe out bed bugs, Fastcap will, even if they're resistant to pyrethroids, Fastcap will still wipe them.
So it's a small but powerful portfolio.
Absolutely.
We only have 5 products, but we can cover the full range of household pets, and of course we can devote ourselves should one and are trained for food industry. Absolutely. Within the pyrethroids. Water-based peptide would be like a more solid ally on that range. I appreciate this interview. I really enjoyed the time. Looking forward to seeing you more often here in Mexico.
Hey, I'm looking forward to getting down here.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Hey, you're good.